Okay, we have good number now. We can start. Some persons are putting up their hands. I don't know what question they want to ask when we have not even started. So it's uncalled for. We're going to start. We're starting now. Good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome to today's facilitation, Gst101, Use of English and Communication Skills 1. This is our 6th facilitation. I hope you have been following. For those who have missed it, not to mind, you can go on your course page and watch the past recording for the facilitation. Today, we want to look at reading narrative test and expository test. Narrative and expository test. But before then, last week, we talked about vocabulary development. As we know, without a good level of vocabulary, you will not understand what you are reading or what you are listening to. And so, last week, we talked about vocabulary, we defined vocabulary, we talked about types of vocabulary. And we also talked about ways or methods through which you can improve or increase your vocabulary English. So that if you have a large vocabulary of English, you'll be able to communicate effectively, you can speak or express yourself effectively. Because vocabulary is very important. Words, meaning of words. We also look at the dictionary, the importance of dictionary, and the fact that we should endeavor to acquire or have dictionary, whether soft copy or hard copy. It is important. Let's go to today's topic. Reading, narrative, and expository text. We are going to look at the characteristics of narrative tests as well as the characteristics of expository tests. You have samples of these tests in your course material. You have the samples in the course material. So let's try and differentiate. What's a narrative test? Now we are used to narration. Narrative is simply storytelling. We know of tales by moonlight. We know of our parents telling us stories. When we tell stories, we say we are narrating. So the commonest reading tests we come across are actually narrative tests. Tests which should be telling you stories about people, tests that will be telling you stories about places and events. Now, these stories will give you various experiences about life, so that reading series of narrative tests will also help to increase your speed level and your comprehension rate. Remember that comprehension is tied to the way you read and the level of vocabulary that you have. So, to comprehend well, you must read well. We have done reading speed, where we identify a different type. I hope we still remember them. So let's look at narrative tests. So narrative tests simply means those tests that tell stories. Those tests that tell us stories of people, of places, and of events. What are their qualities? What are the qualities of a good narrative test? How will you know a narrative test? How can you identify a narrative test in the midst of other tests? That's what we mean by the qualities or the characteristics. One, we have sequential order. When you are narrating, you will follow a sequential order. What do we mean? It means that something happened, you give the order in which the things happened. Something happened in the morning, the afternoon, before evening. Or if it starts from evening, which we do flashback to now tell us what happened in the morning, before afternoon, and before evening. So it follows a sequential order. It is, events are arranged in chronological order of time, or order of importance, or the order of the seriousness of the event. The point is, there must be a sequential order used, either in terms of time or in terms of the importance of the event or the importance of the seriousness. That's one, sequential order. The next thing is imagination. Most narrative texts are imagined. They are not true. They are not true events. They are fables. But they are stories told such that they are close to realities. They are stories told such that they are close to reality. So, imagination. Narrative texts are imaginative texts. You imagine as if it has happened. Remember, we said it is a storytelling text. So, the third characteristic of quality comes in, and that is characters and events. Characters and events. What do we mean by character? We simply mean that people are there to act out what happened, to tell us the story. Characters, persons who are there to act the event, to act the storyline. They'll give us the description of what happened, making it look real. Then we must have clarity of expression. The text must be clear, straightforward, so that it makes sense to the persons reading it. And one unique thing about narrative text is that they exaggerate. There's a lot of exaggeration, meaning something they can blow things out of proportion in order to make it interesting, in order to keep the intention, to keep the attention of the reader. It will exaggerate things, blow things out of proportion. So those are the qualities of narrative text. The qualities of narrative text, I repeat, they are sequential order, imagination, characters and events, clarity of expression, and exaggeration. Those are their qualities. Now let's look at more qualities or characteristics. Usually, narrative texts are informal in style. They're informal. When we say it's informal, it means it's not an official language. Do not make use of official language. To make use of everyday conversation. So it could make use of popular expressions. It could make use of slangs. It will make use of abbreviations. So it will contain characters who will make use of informal language. That's what we are saying. Then it will follow a storyline. It must follow a storyline. That it starts with the background of the story and give us the story. Tells us what happened, why it happened, and what the consequences or the cause and how it affected the persons that were involved. So it follows a storyline. Then there is a plot. Plot simply means unfolding the plan or unfolding the outline of events in the story or in the text, the novel. Unfolding the plan or unfolding the outline of the event in the novel or the text, we'll call it plot. Then one very good characteristic of narrative text is suspense. It keeps the reader in suspense so that you will want to know more. You want to know, so what happened? Or why did it not happen? So it makes the reader to have a kind of anticipation, anxious to know the outcome or the ending. So we call that suspense. it creates suspense. It's only narrative text that you create suspense. We've said it before, it contains characters who will act and tell us story. So if you look at the example of the narrative text in your course material, I hope you have read it. We say, we have a one, say, I found you a girl. That's a narrative text in your course material. I found you a girl. And what is the storyline of that? Simply telling us about two friends who won, Silas, Stephen, and Margaret. Those are the characters in that particular novel, in that particular text in your course material. And it has element of exaggeration as well as suspense, because you were wondering, will she agree? Will she not agree? That's that about narrative text. And you have example, you can read and pick out and see if these characteristics we have listed, how it is reflected in the text on your course material. The second test we want to talk about is the expository test. Expose, as the name implies, expose, reveal, make known what was not known. Expository test. So expository test is another common reading materials you will come across in your academic activities. Expository test, as the name implies, is not storytelling like narrative, but rather it explains issues, explains theories, explains concepts, or explain plans. It does not, expository test does not tell stories. No, it is meant for information, to inform you, to educate you. Unlike narrative test, that is probably meant to entertain you, to amuse you. Expository tests are solely for information, and so no exaggeration. They do not exaggerate, they go straight to the point and expose or explain or describe issues to the readers. Now, let's quickly look at the features of an expository text. Expository text, they are more formal. They are formal tests, in which case it has little or no abbreviations. It does not make use of everyday conversation as is seen in narrative text. It does not make use of slangs or informal conversation or informal language. It is more formal. And so because it is formal, you have little or no abbreviation, no contractions, which you will find in narrative text. Now, it deals with issues. Because it deals with issues or concepts or plans, it means that expository text contains factual issues, contain factual events, and not imagined events as we have in narrative text. So the text, the content of expository text are factual, not imagined, not fabled. Then in expository text, we present you points. It will give you points and support those, give you reasons to support any viewpoint. So there must be reason to give you reason to support the points or the viewpoint. And of course, the points are organized in logical and sequential order. Remember, because it is dealing with issues, concept, or plan, or how to do something, it will therefore tell you the stage by stage. That is where the sequential order comes in. Because it explains how things are done in a clear-cut terms. It gives you a vivid way of doing things. It exposes you to facts. You present facts. So, for example, if you want to write letter, a good writer would, sorry, not letter, We want to tell you how to prepare banga soup, it will be expository. We want to tell you how to write letter, it will be expository. It's exposing to how to do it, how to perform an issue, a particular issue. So it's expository. So expository explains, text, makes it straight to the point, no beating around, no exaggeration, no imagination. It's real. It's real. So it does not tell stories. It gives you point by point. So it has no exaggeration, no lie, no clumsiness, no illogicality. Goes straight to the point and tells you what should be done, how to do it, no exaggeration. There's nothing like suspense in expository tests. Suspense has to do with narrative test. Exaggeration has to do with narrative test, not with expository test. Again, you have some sample in your course material where you have been giving example of expository test and narrative test. They are there in our course material. I see that some persons are already raising up their hands. I'll give opportunity now, giving you explanation on what to mean by expository test and narrative test. We're going to ask questions now based on what we have read or based on what we have just done, which we ought to have read before now. I sent you where to read. So please pay attention so that you don't repeat any questions somebody have said, have asked. Once I give room for videoing, you video yourself. Please don't unmute yourself unless you want to ask questions and I acknowledge you. So for those who want to ask questions, you need to video yourself so that we are sure of the person who is talking to us. You can see the faces. The platform is open for questions and interaction. Nina, your background is so dark. Ogechi, your background is dark. Okay. Nina, unmute yourself and ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question. What's happening? Is the problem from my side? Okay, let me go to somebody else who is already videoing. Solomon. Though I can't even see your face. What's happening? Okay, Solomon, ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, please, sorry, the characteristics of narrative test. Please, I didn't get it very well. Please, ma, please, can you explain it very well, ma?
What do you mean? You came in late.
No, I wasn't here late. I came early actually. It was only the characteristics. I didn't get them well.
Characteristics of narrative test.
Yes,
one, their informal language or informal style. Because it is informal, it contains everyday conversation, it contains slang, and it is informal. Informal because it will have abbreviations, it will have a contraction. Like you have things like I won't come early, I don't, instead of I will not or I do not, to contain such things. Then it will have characters that will use this informal language. It will have a storyline. That is, you start from to tell us a story. So it will have a storyline. To have a plot. Plot simply means it will unfold the plans of what is going on. And it will have suspense. Suspense means there will be kind of anticipation. You want to know more. You are anxious to know the outcome or the way it will end. Those are the characteristics. Of course, it's imaginative, exaggeration, sequential orders. These are also kind of characteristics of quality. Are you okay? Where is the person asking question? Okay. Solomon, I hope you got the question. Are you ready, Nina? Seem to be having issues. Unmute yourself and ask your question. I'll move on to somebody else if you are still not ready. Okay, I move on to Francis. Francis, unmute yourself and ask your question. Francis, unmute yourself and ask your question. What is happening? Is it from my side? Okay, let me come down to Yanoluwa. Yanoluwa, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your background is noisy.
Ma?
Is it your background that is noisy?
Yes. Okay, I'll ask.
Musa, unmute yourself and ask your question. Musa. What's happening? Speak, Musa. Can't hear you. You're on mute already. Speak. Okay, let me come to Motayo. Motayo, unmute yourself and ask a question. Let's see.
Good afternoon, ma.
Okay.
Yes, ma. Well done, ma. Yeah, well done, ma.
Thank you.
To my understanding about this lecture, ma, I could see that the narrative test, they always says story, and I think they expository test. They are the one that said the real story that without suspense or whatever.
Expository test, explain issues or concepts.
The reality.
And it's, yes. If you are going to explain an issue, the issue you are explaining must be real. You cannot be explaining a fake thing.
Yes.
So what's the question?
Okay. I can understand. I just want to know the difference between the real difference between the two questions. So I've gotten.
Yes. Okay, between narrative and expository.
Yes,
so
yes,
are you okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Adepoju. Adepoju. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Adeyinka Adepoju. Quickly. You're not ready? I'll go to somebody else. Ofega, Jos, unmute yourself and ask your question. Ofega, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
I wanted to ask about the expository text, the guidelines on how to write expository text.
We're not talking about writing, guys. We're talking about to read and comprehend, not writing.
Okay,
how do you
ma'am.
read and understand?
Okay,
And
to read and
the
understand.
characteristics.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
and then the characteristics. How can you
Yes.
differentiate between narrative text and expository, or between expository and other types of text? That's our interest, not on how to write.
Okay, because I came late before, so I thought it was on the writing.
How you know?
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yes, now watch the video later.
Okay. Adepoju, are you ready? Adeyinka Adepoju, are you ready? What's the problem? You still, we can't hear you still. Nena Ogechi, are you ready? Nena Ogechi, are you ready? So speak. Ha, can't hear you also. Maybe I come to Francis. Francis, Peter, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, ma. I joined late. Please, what's the topic for today's class?
Sorry, I cannot go back because you joined late. We did not start until about 7 minutes after. So you will have to watch the recorded video. You can't go back because you came late. Here na your desire. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. One thing I just want to know is there any common characteristics between these two tests, the narrative test and the expository test? Is there any common feature?
Of course. Whatever is written must be done logically. It must be clearly written and it must be logical. That's what they share in common.
Okay, what about the sequential order?
Sequential order, okay. It must be sequential, but the sequence is not the same.
Okay.
Expository must be sequence. That is, if you want to tell me how to make eba, you follow the sequence. The first thing is I will put water on the fire. When the water boils, I'll bring it down and pour in my gari, and then I will stir it. That's the sequence in expository. The sequence for narrative, you will tell me how the things happen. Something happens first. If I don't dig, if I did not insult somebody, the person will not get angry and then slap me. Do you understand? Expository, one thing will lead to another. I mean, narrative, you are telling a story. If you are not, something has not happened, it will not lead to another thing when you are telling the story. So they both have what do you call it? Sequence. One thing leads to another and to another. They both have the sequence, and both of them must, whatever they are telling us, must be clearly written.
Okay, secondly, does it mean that all narrative tests are not factual or some are factual?
Some are factual, but oftentimes, majority, they are not factual. They are telling.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yes. Rachel, Adenike, unmute yourself and ask your question. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am, I want to ask that can you share your screen for us?
Can I what?
Share your screen.
I can't hear you.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me now, ma'am?
I should do what?
Like, if you share your screen for us, other lecturers will share their screen so that we see what they are saying.
No, I don't like sharing screen because I want you to pay attention. I don't share my screen when it is not necessary because I want you to pay attention. Mind you, what I'm doing is how you will comprehend and how you will listen and comprehend. So I want you to listen, not by looking and copying. Listen. And of course, on the Telegram page, I always say what we have done. You can always get it from there. But while I am teaching, I'm also teaching you techniques of listening and comprehending, and then techniques of note-taking, which is part of what we have done. So I don't share screen because of that.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Yahweh, ping, whatever. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Nice to meet you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I want you to give more light on this difference between the narrative and the expository.
I have done that more than twice for people's questions. You should learn to listen and pay attention. I've done that already, so I will not do it again. You will have to wait, watch the video, and make it yourself.
Okay, what about the characteristic?
I've said the characteristic over and over again.
Not for this narrative. For the narrative, I understand it.
For narrative and expository, two persons have asked that question and I have given the answer.
Ma, but for this expository, I do not understand it very well. Can you please?
What are you not? What do you want to understand is expository. The person that just asked question 2 minutes ago, I explained that about expository. Can somebody else ask? Who can help? I don't want to keep talking. You suppose, okay, thank you. I've seen someone that can help us. Let me go to the person. Thank you very well. Thank you very well. And Said Ademola, please unmute yourself and answer her question.
Good day, doctor.
Good evening.
According to the way I comprehend the narrative, the difference between narrative and expository test is I can say a narrative test explain in details. The narrative test explain in details how you can write a letter and give in full details of what you are trying to, your point that you are trying to bring out. So, and I believe
narrative test, narrative.
Yes. Yeah. So I believe the expository test is a kind of test that exposes the reality of what you are trying to say. Does that?
Narrative test is storytelling test.
Yeah, that's.
And it's not factual.
That's not factual. That is exposing. I mean, the reality.
Telling a story. It does not give. It's not reality. Narrative tells us may not be reality.
No, I mean expose. I'm not talking about narrative now, man.
Expository.
Yeah.
Expository. Okay.
Expository text. Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. Real.
Explain how to do something, event, and all.
Yeah, how to make something when something that is real.
Okay, maybe how to repair, how to change your tire of your vehicle.
Your tire, yeah, you know, how to make gari or any other stuff. Like if I want to make pap.
Okay,
like
that's expository test. Why narrative test will tell us stories about events,
giving details,
which may not be true. Storytelling, our traditional storytelling style. Thank you. So, what is your own question? Ask your question now that you have the floor.
Yeah, my question remains the answer I just tried to come up with. That I just want to be very sure of what I comprehend. If I'm on the line.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Isa Sani, unmute yourself and ask your question. Sani, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, ma'am? Please, the topic we are discussing now, I have been checking it in my course material. Please, can you help me with the page? Which page am I going to check?
I can't get to tell you the page, but I know it's in module 3. Module 3.
Okay.
Passage, narrative test, and expository test. Go to module 3, you will find it.
Okay.
Matthew, Michael, unmute yourself and ask your question. Matthew, Michael.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma. I actually comprehend your lecture, but there's the questions I want to bring up here, ma. The question, it goes like this.
Okay.
You talked about narrative text and compository text. In that narrative, you said it's not factual. And why, ma? Hello?
Expository.
Yes, expository. You said, I'm talking about narrative text first. In narrative, you said most of those narrative are not factual.
Yes.
And while expository are factual, meaning they are real.
Yes.
Okay, in this question, okay, for example, let me give an example. If someone should have an accident, we know that is factual and is real. Then maybe after 3 days or 4 days thereabouts, and I met someone and I start giving the person the narrative how it happens.
Yes.
How can you put such a text? Is it now a narrative text or it still belongs under compository text? Expository, sorry.
They are narrating the story of what happened. That is why we say not every narrative is imaginative. You have some factual one. That's a factual narrative you are giving.
Okay.
But most times, narrative texts are not factual, they're imaginative. You tell stories, you create stories from our traditional way of telling stories to train children and all that.
Yeah. So in other words, it means that we have two types of narrative, factual and non-factual.
Factual and non-factual, yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I've got my question right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Esen Joseph, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good day, ma'am.
Good day.
Good afternoon, yes, ma'am. Sorry, I came late. I was trying to come online for the lecture, so I was not online for the full class. Please, ma'am, I don't know. Maybe you can help me and go back and start and understand.
No, that's okay. You have no issue. You can watch the past recording. The class has been recorded and it will be posted on your course page. It will also, you will get some points of it on our Telegram page. So you will get what we have done.
Okay,
but I can't go back.
Yeah?
Let's give opportunity to others to ask questions.
Okay, sorry, about the narrative test and executive test, can I get more brief about it?
I've
Can I understand
explained
more?
it over and over again. You will need to listen and watch the recorded version.
Yes, because I was trying to log in since because I was not able to log in.
That's what I'm telling you. You will have opportunity to listen to it. You came late, yes. We did not start until 7 minutes after 3. I will not go back to what I have said. If you're immaculate, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. On the qualities of a good narrative text, you were saying, my network went off, so I did not really get the explanation for vividness and expression.
You did not get a... Come again?
I said, under the qualities of a good narrative text, you're talking about expression and vividness. I did not really get an explanation.
Expression. I can't remember talking about expression. Clarity of expression, you mean? Clarity of expression. That is what you are saying must be clear. What is written must make sense to the reader. That's what you mean by clarity of expression. Then what again?
Vividness.
Vividness has to do with the characters. Vivid description. You will describe what you are talking about in a way that it makes sense. And the reader can visualize it. Vividness, to be vivid description, meaning making it look as if it is real, but it is not real.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Chika, Nana, Chika, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma, I just completed my registration. It's my first time of joining your class. I'm actually a new student, so I'm kind of lost. I'm trying to get in. Okay, ma, like what I've been jotting down. I joined like 20 minutes ago. I had something about the Telegram page, how I can get it and watch previous videos so I can assimilate and gather enough information.
Oh, the previous video is not on Telegram per se. Rather, it is on your course page.
Okay, which is the noun.edu.ng.
Yes, your course page. But let me quickly get the Telegram. End of this class, before I switch off, before I will end, we will not post it immediately so that we are not distracted by it.
Okay, ma'am. All right, thank you very much.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So I'll post it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Stephen, is it Stephen Blessing? Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, ma'am.
Stephen.
Good evening, ma'am. I just answered my question. I wanted to ask how to join the Telegram group because I've not been there. I'm not on the group. So that's what I wanted to ask. So you have said you post it after class.
Okay, so I will share it. Let me get it. I will share it, but not immediately.
Okay,
I
ma.
will share it, but not immediately. Yes, I will share it.
All right, ma.
Okay, you're welcome. Ogunshaki, unmute yourself and ask your question. Abib.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm actually a new student, so this is my first time of joining your class. So I want to know much about.
Okay. You want to what?
I said I want to know more about your subject.
You want to know more? How? You will have to go to. You will go to your course page and watch past recording. That's how you will know more on what you have missed.
Okay, ma. What about how to join the Telegram channel?
I'm sure you just heard me say I will post the link before the end of this class, so stay till the end.
Okay. Thank you, ma.
I will write it on this, what we are doing here. I will chat it. I will send it as a chat. I cannot, okay. Constance, unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Please, from the explanation that you gave on the expository essay, I don't know the difference between expository essay and
the difference between what? Expository and
descriptive.
We did not talk about descriptive. We're talking about expository. So we stay within what we are talking about. Okay, somebody is telling you what to ask. Somebody is telling you what to ask me. Henry, unmute yourself and ask your question. We are waiting for you. Henry Wokolo. We are going to move on to somebody else because we don't have much time. Shitu.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Okay, good afternoon. Shitu, hold on. Shitu, hold on. Okay. Henry, speak on.
My question is a bit not really on this subject matter. I have a problem with what we call icebreaker. I don't really know what we're trying to do there, icebreaker. Sometimes I go to that place, I see some of the students making comments and all that. So I want to find out if it is, mandatory for students to be there, or if there's anything that has to do with icebreaker. So that's,
Icebreaker has to do with introducing yourself. So if you have not done it, no problem. If you wish to do it, very good. Introduce yourself so that your colleagues will know who you are and where you are. That you will be able to meet some of your friends. That's the essence of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Shitu, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I'm sorry, my question is not that much. I just want to ask, man, the narrative essay, like the narrative text, you gave us an example of narrative text. The narrative text, you gave one example of narrative text that say, I found you a girl. So I just want to ask, man, the example, man, is it like a formal letter or formal letter, man?
It is your course material. That title I gave you is it's a story from your course material, and it's not a letter. We are talking about narrative text, which is storytelling.
Yeah, I understand, man. Actually, I'm just saying.
Why do you not talk about letter?
I'm just saying, is it the style? Is it like informal letter or is it informal or formal?
It's not a letter at all.
Okay, it's not similar to something like formal or informal letter.
Jesus Christ. Why are you referring to letter? Because you are confusing yourself. Maybe you are also attending GST 102. That's why you're getting confused now. Making reference to letter. It has nothing to do with letter. It is a test, a passage.
Okay.
A passage is different from a letter.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thanks so much, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
You said what? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to be rude, ma'am. I'm just thinking about maybe if you try and please to try and show us some, like, teach us with PowerPoint, like share your screen so we can know more.
No. I explain why I don't share my screen. I've explained why I don't share my screen. You are not listening. I am teaching listening and comprehension. So part of it is for you to listen and comprehend and take down notes. I'm also teaching how to do note taking. So you're supposed, I'm not going to share my screen with you.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay,
I only share when it is necessary. Who is this? Okay, me, I can't see you. I can only see your background. Okay, unmute yourself and ask your question quickly. Good afternoon. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking. Change your position. Your voice is breaking. We'll come back to you. Your voice is breaking. Please, Musa, unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, let me change your position. I will come back to you. Musa.
Okay, ma. Ma. Good afternoon, ma. Afternoon, how are you?
I'm fine.
I would like to. This is the first time I'm attending to the lecture, but I don't know the exact time. At times, if I want to join you at time, the thing is not connected to me. So the reason why I'm asking you is supposed to every time you have a lecture so that you are posting the group time so that I'm joining with you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Hello?
It's your fault. I always post the time we're having meeting on Saturday or on Sunday. If you don't get the fault of your browser or your internet access, so the fault is not from me. Solomon, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma, for the explanation for the first time. What I want to ask now is outside the topic because I'm having an issue with my practical is starting next week and it's going to take 2 weeks. So
what practical?
The distance
what practical?
For 100 level.
What practical?
100 level, ma. Physics 191, chemistry 191.
So
and no, ma, I just wanted to ask, and some other course, like they will be taking 2 weeks. They'll be taking 2 weeks, and the distance from my house to my center is very, very far. So I wanted to ask if there is an hostel because I'm having issues with it. The transportation from my house to this center is very, very far every day.
If there is what?
If there is an hostel that students can lodge.
There is no hostel issue. Please ask your physics practical what you should do.
Okay, ma'am. And I want to ask the requirements for biology practical and physics practical because I've not been able to
taking physics. I'm teaching use of English, so I cannot answer your questions in terms of science questions.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Sorry, I can't help you.
Okay.
Wait, are you in a good place now? Can we hear you? Unmute yourself. Let's see if we hear you. Quickly, okay, because it's already past 4. Unmute yourself. Let's see if we can hear you. Okay, let me come to Usman. Usman, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I wanted to ask, I have done my TMS, and after I've submitted, like, there are some questions which I didn't get right, like I get 8/10. So I wanted to ask, I haven't find where I can see the corrections. So is there anywhere where we can see the corrections of our TMS?
I don't have anything to do with TMS, so I cannot answer that your question. Okay. And my own is just to teach, to facilitate the course. I'm not, I didn't write the TMA for you. Sorry. In actual design, I thought you have asked your question before.
Yes, good evening, doctor, once again. Yes, from question, I get another question.
Okay, quickly, time is already past 4.
As the course material told us that these narrative tests are not factual, while expository tests are factual. And the question had been raised, and the answer is that some narrative tests are true. What if it comes in the exam under assumption that they say which of the following is true among these options: narrative story, or narrative test, or expository test? Then which one do we choose to be true?
What do you mean?
If, for instance, in an exam,
for your course material, what do you mean by is true or it's not? Do you mean real or not real?
Yeah, real.
People, we're not talking about true or false. True and false.
Real facts.
It's expository now. You choose expository.
Okay. Okay. That is all.
Okay, Emi, you are not still ready, so I'm moving away from you. Malvis, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, Doc. Good afternoon once again, Doc. I just wanted to get more clarity on the CMA. Unfortunately, you've answered what you answered with Usman, but I want to just know, who do we channel all our queries that has to do with TMA? Because I have done my own TMA. Okay, ma'am.
There is actually a technical staff attached to your faculty. Their phone numbers and contacts have been given to you or sent to you, so you can use that way to arrive to express your difficulties.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I think we'll end. I don't know. Okay, are you ready? Let's see. Unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Ma, I want to ask that. What about storytelling? Are they narrative? Like the story, the first story.
What about
people? Are they narrative?
What? What about what? Ma? I didn't get your question. Huh?
Are they Are they narrative?
It's cutting. What about what?
I said like the story told people, like maybe a grandma told us a story. Is the story narrative?
A grandma who tells you story is a narrative. The story she's telling you is narrative. Storytelling is narrative.
Ma, please, ma, the story is not real.
It's not real now. That's why it's narrative.
Okay.
All those people, they are imaginative. They are created.
Okay, okay, ma. Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome. With this, we'll come to the end of our class. Please take the link so that you can join. I've posted the link. Some of you are just coming up now to be asking questions. So I'm just giving them a chance to be able to join the link. That's why I'm still on. Moses, unmute yourself and ask your question. Unless you video yourself, I will not identify you. Moses, quickly. Moses, you are wasting time. Go to somebody else.
Doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My questions goes on this. Though I have been following your lectures, then the issue of going back to the video to play the video of the previous lectures is difficult. Like I've been checking my mind of the previous lectures. But I just raised a question there by asking of the icebreaker. I don't know, though I'm a new student. I don't know the ice breaking.
Oh God.
I don't know. He made mention of icebreaker. Then you now said there is a voluntary something that is either you join or you don't join. I don't know.
I did not say it's voluntary, whether you join. They say if he has not done it, as at now, he can forget it. You are expected to do icebreaker at the beginning of the facilitation in the week 1 to enable you meet other persons and that you may know you. But if the person has not done as at this time, it's now uncalled for. That's what I said. What's your second question? I didn't get your second issue. You cannot get the past recording. You should be able to. It's on your course page. The past recording is on your course page. You are supposed to go there, click on it, and watch it. It's almost 10 minutes after 4. I'm going to end this class now. The facilitation is over. We can meet on the Telegram page where I will make open for comments and questions by Friday or Saturday. Even when I opened it, you people don't ask questions. You don't come online. It's open the whole day on Saturday. No, but you did not come online or ask questions. This 1 hour is not enough for us to interact. That is why we have the Telegram for more questions and comments and reaction. But when it is open for the whole day, you don't come up to ask your questions or to make your comments. Because this now we have come to the end of this class. It's just a 1 hour class, 1 hour facilitation. We cannot stay here the whole day. So I'm ending it now.